Hello, everyone. My name is Robin Kitchen. I am the manager for learning and growth at Sherbrooke and Central Haven. So, my role in our communities is education, and I am an Eden educator, and I'm really excited about these community learning modules. Today is Module 3, and so the Eden Alternative philosophy teaches us that there is a problem and a solution. So, what is the problem? The problem is that we've built traditional long term care homes or nursing homes based on the medical model, and where the focus is on efficient care of the masses. But how many of you would want to live there where the focus is efficient care of the masses? Probably no one. And so that is the problem. The system is broken. You know, people are dying of loneliness, helplessness, and boredom in long term care homes. I'm sure many of you have heard someone say, or have even said it yourself, that you'd rather die than live in a nursing home. And again, that is the problem. The problem is that we've created worlds where none of us would want to live, and we continue to move our most frail, honored, and respected elders to these places of total dread. The traditional nursing home operates much like a hospital. And so, how many of you would want to live in a hospital? I bet you nobody. I've asked that question many times over the years, and no one has ever said yes. And this is not a fault or a flaw of anyone working in the hospital. That's not what this is about. The hospital is full of loving, wonderful, compassionate people. But what this is about is that the purpose of a hospital is very different from the purpose of a long term care home. And that's why it doesn't work. No one wants to live in a hospital. We go to hospital for treatment of a medical condition of some sort, but not to live. And the Eden Alternative recognizes that this is the problem. You know, all those years ago when the nursing home was born and created, it was based on a modified hospital setting. And that is the problem. Nobody wants to live in a hospital. And so, principle one in the Eden Alternative philosophy is called the problem principle. And it teaches us that loneliness, helplessness, and boredom are painful and destructive to our health and well being. And so, again, people are dying of loneliness, helplessness, and boredom in long term care homes because of the institutional or medical model focus. Dr. Thomas, he intentionally called loneliness, helplessness, and boredom plagues. And he used the word plague because when you think of the word plague, it typically conjures up all kinds of horrific images of death and destruction and despair and suffering. And he wants us to remember how serious loneliness, helplessness, and boredom are, and how destructive and painful that they are. And so that's why he used that word plague really intentionally. And so we know that the institutional model, being the focus of long term care, is a huge part of the problem in terms of people dying from loneliness, helplessness, and boredom. But there are some other societal hurdles that contribute to feelings of loneliness, helplessness, and boredom that as a society we need to address. One of those societal hurdles is ageism. And this is prejudice against someone due to their age. It affects both the young and the old. We live in a profoundly ageist society. There are negative uh, messages about aging everywhere. And the thing about these negative messages, they greatly influence our thoughts and assumptions. And the three plagues of loneliness, helplessness, and boredom exist in part due to ageism. You know, elders don't often see themselves as valued community members, and then that low sense of self worth can lead to isolation. And instead, we need to integrate elders into everyday life in a community, and they need to be recognized for the value they have and what they have to offer. And the other societal hurdle that contributes to loneliness, helplessness, and boredom is ableism. And this is prejudice against someone based on their abilities. And again, when we make assumptions about someone, we don't take the time to know them and we don't recognize the tremendous gifts that they have to offer. And so ageism and ableism create loneliness, helplessness, and boredom. Because of these negative societal messages, it leads to low self-worth and isolation. Individual gifts are untapped, people are not valued for who they are, and with no sense of communal role, purpose is lost. So let's define the three plagues of loneliness, helplessness, and boredom that Dr. Thomas describes as causing the bulk of suffering amongst people living in long-term care. Loneliness is defined as the pain we feel when we want but cannot have companionship. Loneliness is different from solitude. Solitude is a choice to be alone. Loneliness is not a choice. Helplessness is the pain we feel when we always receive care and we don't have equal opportunities to give care. And boredom is the pain we feel when our lives lack variety and spontaneity. And every day is the same, and there's no remote possibility that anything fun or exciting will happen. That's when we feel bored. And so, again, these are plagues of the human spirit, not the human body. Loneliness, helplessness, and boredom. And they are what causes the bulk of suffering for people living in long-term care. So, what is the solution? The solution is that we need to abandon the institutional or medical model that we've traditionally focused on, and in its place, focus on creating home, creating a healthy community where each person has the opportunity to direct their own lives. Principle 2 in the Eden Alternative Philosophy is the solution principle, and it teaches us that a caring, inclusive, and vibrant community enables all of us, regardless of age or ability, to experience well-being. This is the solution to create this kind of community. This principle is about surrendering the institutional point of view and in its place creating a healthy community where elders are well known, have meaningful relationships, have control over their own life, have opportunities to grow and experience meaning, that they feel safe and can trust those closest to them, and a community where they can continue to grow and experience joy. That is the solution. So, how do we change this? How do we shift away from an institutional or medical model focus to a focus of creating home? Well, we need to be really intentional about everything that we do. And so, some of the things that we're really intentional about here, for example, we need to get rid of things that remind us of a hospital, what we call symbols of the institution. And a great example of a symbol of the institution is when staff wear uniforms. That is why we don't wear uniforms at Sherbrooke and Central Haven, because if staff were wearing uniforms, it would always be a constant reminder of the medical model system. And this is important stuff because people do respond to the environments that they're in. So if this looks like a hospital, whether you live here, you visit here, or you work here, you'll think you're in a hospital and you'll act like you're in a hospital, and we don't want that. We also, as a community, needed to be welcoming of elements of a healthy community. And so we needed to be welcome to having children be part of everyday life here, and having pets live here, and having lots of opportunities for gardening, and a dynamic community that is vibrant and has lots of opportunities for elders to tap into things that are meaningful for them. All of this is important in alleviating loneliness, helplessness, and boredom, and enhancing well-being. The Eden Alternative also teaches us that we need to ensure that elders who live here feel like big fish in a small pond. This is about people being well known in their home, just like we all are in our own families. This is why we focus so much at Sherbrooke and Central Haven on relationships. because everyone has to know that they are valued for who they are and that they have a voice in their home. One of the commitments in the Eden alternative philosophy is a commitment to being person directed, where elders are in control of their own life as much as possible. And so we know the number one fear people have about moving into long-term care is loss of control. And so elders need to be in control of their own life. Lastly, in terms of our intentional work to create home, Dr. Thomas teaches us about the importance of choosing the words that we use so they are reflective of home. We are really intentional about this at Sherbrooke and Central Haven. You may have noticed that, but words are powerful. The words we use influence how we think, and that influences how we act. And so we need to abandon using institutional language, because if we keep using institutional language, we will stay stuck in an institutional mindset and we will continue to treat elders through the lens of the institutional model. And so we're really intentional about the words that we use here. One of the words that the Eden alternative philosophy really encourages us to use is the term elder. And when we use the term elder in the Eden philosophy, it's not about advanced age, but we're using it in the traditional sense of the word, where every time we use the term elder, it reminds us of the honor and respect that that person deserves, and it reminds us that they're also here to teach us. And this is a great definition of elder. An elder is someone who, by virtue of life experience, is deserving of our respect and here to teach us how to live. And the Eden alternative really encourages us to use the term elder, because every time we use the word elder, it's automatically going to change the way that we think about the people who live here. And it'll automatically change the way we treat them. It's just the way that our brains are wired. It's the way that our brains work. And so that's why the Eden philosophy really encourages us to use that term elder. One of the concepts that is key in growing a healthy community at Sherbrooke and Central Haven is recognizing the importance of citizenship. What we are trying to create is a real community where everyone who is part of the community works together to make it a better place to be. In the Eden philosophy, we talk a lot about citizenship, where we want elders to recognize that they are citizens of this community and that they play a huge role in contributing to the overall growth and well-being of their home. They bring their passions, their gifts, their talents, their knowledge, and they enrich our communities in incredible ways. Elders as citizens also look out for and care for one another, and this is really important to ensuring that we have a real and true community that enhances well-being for everyone. As citizens, elders also participate in problem solving, and we know that real community is messy. Things don't always run smoothly. This is also reflective of real life, because real life is messy. It is not perfect. In the citizenship model, elders participate in problem solving when things get messy, and everyone works together in those situations for the benefit of the community. Everyone makes a difference here. And when elders move in, we want to know, what do you bring to the community? And so in wrapping up Module 3, we've learned that there is a problem. And the problem is that people are dying of loneliness, helplessness, and boredom in long-term care homes, because long-term care homes have been focused on the institutional or medical model where no one wants to live. And we learned the solution, that we need to abandon that medical or institutional model and in its place create a healthy community, create home, where people are in control of their own life as much as possible and have the opportunity to experience well-being. And this is a great quote from Dr. Thomas as we wrap up Module 3. He says, "We know we will never create paradise on earth. It isn't possible, but let's march in that direction anyways."